Okay, welcome. My name is Daniel Park. This is my full Loopy Pro breakdown and how I replaced my entire pedal board with an iPad, obviously with some extra bits to it too. But yes, if you don't know what Loopy Pro is, it's an iOS app designed specifically for live performance and looping. So yes, iPad, iPhone, you can use it on either or both. You can think of Loopy Pro as not really just an app. At its core, it's more of a DAW, and I think that's really an important distinction. It's not just one function. It can be a Swiss Army knife of different functions for you. And really what's really cool is you can program this, what they call the canvas, to your specific needs. So what you have, the controls you have at your fingertips are very, very important and can be catered to whatever you need it to be. You can also include third-party AUv3 plugins like FabFilter Pro Q3, which is incredible. And so because it lives on the iPad, there's a lot more control you have over every aspect of your performance. For instance, this vocal effect. This is why I made the switch from a traditional looping pedal board to Loopy Pro. Okay, so I've been looping since 2005. I started looping after watching a DVD of Howie Day performing live. He was using a DL4 delay pedal, but they had a little switch. You could switch to looping, and it was a one pedal looper, which was pretty cool back then. And so I was like, oh, the light bulb went off and over my head. I was like, that's how I can play guitar and I can play violin within the same song. And so I got the same pedal and I used that for many years. Over time, as my pedal board grew larger with more things, I wanted to add a bass line, so I got that pedal, and then I got some multi-effects pedals, some for the violin, some for the guitar, to add some different sounds. I realized my looping, I wanted to increase how many loops I had. So I found this pedal called the Boomerang V3, which was pretty cool. It had 3 loops that were synced together instead of just one. So that allowed me to have one track be my drum tracks, and then the second one be my bass and guitar if I wanted to play that. And the other one I use mainly for violin and additional stuff on top of that. So I got really used to using the Boomerang V3. I used it for probably about 15 years. Over time, as I leveled up as an artist, I wanted to even add more loops. So 3 wasn't enough after a while. I wanted more flexibility. I wanted more control over my sounds, and I wanted to future-proof myself, because even if I got a looper, like say the RC500 with 5 or 6 loops, what if I changed and I wanted even more than that? Then would I need to get another RC500? There's so many things. And so I just was really battling with what should I do? I need to find something that fits my needs and my future self. What if I want to change? And so what happened was, while I was performing on the Virgin Voyages cruises, I saw some other artists using this program called Loopy Pro on their iPads, and they showed me, wow, it can be whatever you want it to be. And that's what made me change. I was like, finally, I found something that can keep up with what I want to do. If I want to change, if I want to adjust myself, if I want to totally do something different, Loopy Pro can do it, and it's amazing for that. So it can be whatever you want, and I'm not tearing apart my pedal board, thinking about what power I need to do this, what connection I need to do here. It just works for whatever you need it to be. This is why Loopy Pro makes sense. The real power of Loopy Pro is its adaptability, and it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife for audio and for live performance. So normally when I play, I have a normal template that I use, and I can record, my drum loop first, and then record my guitar, record the bass. But there's sometimes, like for instance, I played this wedding in New Zealand, and the couple wanted to walk out to this really big moment. And so for that, I can't build it up in front of everybody because they just want to walk out to the big moment of the song. So what I did was just pre-recorded that bit of the song. And so they could walk out, I could just press play and then sing on top of it. So really, you can also use this whole system if you play with backing tracks. That's totally easy, feasible to do with this system. And of course, if you want to add live instruments along with those backing tracks, things like that, it's all very seamless. And another reason why I also was able to replace all of my recording gear I would take with me before. So this is the same thing I use to record all my songs. So I just released a new song. I recorded it right here in this hotel room. If you don't know, I'm in Perth right now, performing here in Perth for the last month. And so I can use the same gear. Instead of plugging in the iPad, what I do is use an extension and I plug it into my laptop, into Ableton Live, and use Ableton. But it's all the same gear. I don't have to carry a separate interface. It's all here. And so it's very, very cool. Okay, I'm going to show you the exact gear I use. A full gear list will be in the description, but I'll show you some of the things that I use. Obviously, a lot of things in Loopy Pro you can change out to fulfill your needs and how you use it, which is very cool. The first thing I use is an M5 iPad Pro 11-inch. Very nice. And then this right here is a MIDI controller from Intech Studio. These are modular, meaning these things can be added to magnetically. You see these pin ports, so you can add more bits or more controllers to this as you grow. I think that's very, very cool. And it's very light and simple. As you know, I worry about my weight quite often. I worry about my weight quite often because I travel a lot. And so these are very nice, they're modular, they're very light, and they're very portable. And so what you can do here, this one are buttons and encoders. So I have this controlling my microphone volume, but it also can turn it on and off. Okay, cool, right? So I have some of these programmed as my guitar controllers, right? So C strum. It's nice because I can make micro adjustments before my loops as I perform. All right, so these are very, very cool. Let's go down. This is the RME Babyface Pro FS. Very, very nice audio interface. Very solid, works very well. Has 4 inputs, so 2 microphone inputs, 2 quarter-inch instrument inputs, and then also has some headphone outputs, and then it has some XLR outputs also. Very cool. Underneath, this is a USB-C hub that connects all of my MIDI controllers to the iPad along with the interface. So we'll go to the foot controller. This is a Paint Audio MIDI Captain. Very nice. I programmed it, so these are usually up and down buttons for the banks, but I programmed these to be all just MIDI CC numbers that will go into Loopy Pro, can control anything. Very nice. As you see, I have this cable. This cable is just a power cable. I have it going into this universal power adapter, so you just need nice 70 watts. is good for this kind of system. So it's very low power. You can also run this entire system off of a battery bank. I have a big battery bank that will last for a few hours if I want to go busking or something like that. All right, so I have this really cool 3D printed violin by OpenFab PDX. Very, very cool. And then this is a carbon fiber guitar by Klaus Guitars, and it's been very travel worthy for the last few years with me. Okay. Oh, if you want to see what mic I'm using, it's a Shure KSM8. Yeah, works well. This is how to set up your Loopy Pro software. I think anyone starting off on Loopy Pro, the best thing to do is try to recreate or emulate your pedal board that you had before. So any functions that you had on there, your looper, all your effects for your guitar or your instruments, anything you had on that, you can just recreate in Loopy Pro, and I think that's the best way to start. And then as you learn the software more, you can really get into more functions of it. So that's basically what I did. We're gonna go over this. My canvas is broken up into pretty much just a few separate sections. So this whole section is just my inputs. And so I have my mic 2, koala is my drums, and then violin. And then these are all my guitar presets, or banks, as I would say. So I can use this MIDI controller to switch through the different guitar sounds. So this is my regular guitar sound. I have a bass, so we'll switch to the bass and we'll turn it up so you guys can hear it. Yeah. And then of course like a wah. And then with this I can turn it up. And then I have, you know, like a tube screamer kind of sound. Yep. And then I can just turn it off with a push of a button. Of course, everything I do can be done on the screen, but I feel some things are much more tactile with this. The MIDI controllers, all they're doing is just pushing the button for you, or is a lot of times you want to feel more tactile. You know, you don't want to just try to, you have to really be careful with some of the things because the screen might not be big enough for what you want to change. All right, the next section will go here. This is pretty much these are my loops, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4. And then these things right above it, undo, overdub, master, play stop, clear all, peel. That's all right here. And those are all programmed to my Paint Audio MIDI Captain foot switches. So I know exactly where everything is, and I think it's important that you lay out everything like you would in front of you. If whatever pedal system that you use, I would just kind of recreate it on your screen so it's easy to follow. The things around it, like the tempo, I can increase or decrease, the master mute, tuner. These are my master volumes for my in-ears and my and the master volume, whatever goes to the front of house. Easy. I also have a separate volume for the click track. So Loopy Pro will make a click track, and I have it sent directly to my in-ears. It helps for many different situations. So a lot of times what happens is you would need to start with the drums to get that nice, beat. But now I can start a song with a tap tempo and just a click track in my ears, which really I wasn't able to do before with my foot looping pedal system. So this is really cool. So some other things I have down here are my vocal effects. These are actually from the input, so that's why I put it on the input side. So I'll show you this. I have a few different effects. So like this, and then like this, like a stutter thing. And then I have this. Now these four are going to the output of my loops. So these won't change anything right now, but I think it's really cool to have these dynamically for dynamic reasons in your song. And we'll get into that later, or maybe I'll show you right now. So we'll just make a quick beat. So I'll show you just on the drum. So this will do this. All right, this one will do this. This one will make this kind of sound. Yeah. So you can really use these in a really dynamic way. I think that's important for live performance. Something I would not be able to do. Something I would not be able to do with a live foot pedal. Of course, these things maybe I would be able to do if I had extra things, but again, I'm worried about my weight. I travel a lot. This is the best solution for me. So how I set up Loopy Pro is you're going to see the canvas, but behind the scenes, you push this button, and this is how everything is mixed. This is very cool. Each track these are the audio inputs. So this one's going to my vocals. I have AUv3 plugins and EQs on each track. This one, I have this Xvox AUv3 plugin for my vocals. Say I want to turn it off. This is what my vocals would sound like. And this is with it on. And so each channel, you can think of it as a different preset going into your loops or not. And that's where the colors come in. These colors determine which loops you want to go in. So the loops are these different 4 colors. So I have only the drums. These are my drums going into the blue. So I can make a sound and the drums won't go into the other colors. Very cool. The reason why I have a lot of these is, see, a lot of these are just coming from my guitar. So the top, just think of going down. I have this. This is my main guitar I have on right now. As you can see, I just pushing this button will mute and unmute the right channel, and I can only unmute or mute one guitar channel at a time. I have some AUv3 plugins. This is the Tone Stack Pro MIDI. Very cool. It's like having a whole pedal board just on that one track. I can change it whenever I want. And I have a bunch of those. So my bass, I use this AUv3 plugin. Switch to that. The Taurus. Oh, having a tough time. I have a Stetsu, the DI bass bank. And then the other plugin I use is the RRS Bass Enhancer. It's having a hard time. Okay, so the bass enhancer will sound like this. And with those together. with those together, it sounds really, really good and full and deep and rich. And so again, I have a EQ going on the end of that chain. Yeah, so all my effects are kind of like that, with different things, violin too. So those are all the input. So even my violin, I have different presets, different sounds. So the violin, I have all the violins just in one channel, but say you want it to sound like a cello, I have it with another Taurus AUv3 app. Yeah, this is the regular. And then I have this like delayed one. And then kind of like a fuzzy one. Yeah. So easy. Switch those out. Let's go back into the mixer. These are all the input signals. These will feed directly to the outputs and to the loops here. As you can see, we also have buses. So I have reverbs and delays they can use as this section right here for the microphone. So if I want a little bit more reverb, more delay, I can use a bus for that. Another reason I use a bus is I can bus all the outputs of these to a single bus channel. And these are correlated with these. So anytime I want to have all of the signals do something interesting, I can change that like I showed you before. So here are some of my favorite AUv3 plugins that I use. These are all downloadable from the Apple App Store, and Loopy Pro will recognize them. It's very cool. So, first one I use is the Koala sampler for my drums. So, I have it mapped to where these pads are directly correlated with these. Here, watch. It's maybe a little easier to see it like this. So, you can bring in your own samples and obviously adjust the volume and pitch and panning or whatever on each sound. So it's very, very powerful. Okay, another one I like to use is for my vocals. The Xvox app. And so I think it just makes some sparkle for your vocals. This is with it off. This is with the Xvox AUv3 plugin on. So then, of course, Tone Stack Pro. So any of the guitar effects. This app is very cool. You might have to pay for the full version. I don't remember how much it is, but you have access to all these amps and cabinets and distortions and filters, and you can mess around and have a lot of really cool sounds from your guitar. You can build whole pedal boards, presets. That's what I have here. So you can make a whole bank of different presets. It's really cool, really powerful. Okay, let's see. Obviously, the FabFilter Pro Q3, the whole FabFilter suite you can buy for this. It's quite expensive, but I think they're the most pro level AUv3 apps for this situation, so I would really suggest it. Other Desert Cities by Audio Damage. Oh my god, this delay pedal has been immensely powerful. So delay pedal, very cool, has a bunch of presets, you can mess around with it. Another one I like to use is for my transitions and stuff like that. That's what I'm using for my audio, is Transit 2. This thing is amazing, and I haven't even gotten through all the presets or whatever, but this is what I'm using for my vocals. On on this. That's what I set up here.
Here.
These are all Transit 2. This is all Transit 2. Amazing. Okay, and as I said, let's go over the bass sound. So Taurus, and I have it on the bass, DI bass preset for changing my guitar into a bass. I would experiment with different sounds with your own guitar. I also use it for my violin to change it into like a more cello sound. What else do I use? Oh, and then the RSS bass enhancer. Like I said, this thing will give you even more sub bass. So I use that in conjunction with Taurus to really get a full deep bass sound. And then I would say last one I want to show you is the Bleece reverb. Very cool. Lots of presets. There's so many things to explore with these, even the third-party apps that you can go to town with it. How do you perform with Loopy Pro? And I think that is the main difference between having a foot looper with all these different, say you have vocal things, everything is controlled by your foot. You have now an additional thing with the iPad because it's a touch controller. So you have all these touch controls you can do. You can swipe things, you can map everything. And so having the conjunction with these MIDI controllers, the foot MIDI controllers, and the touchpad gives you a lot more control over how you perform and how you control your sounds. And like I said before, I think one of the most important things is a system that can grow with how you want to grow as a musician. Say you want to add some more loops, easy. You can just do it with a press of a button. If you want to change out some effects, easy. Just find some new AUv3 plugins in the App Store. There's whole loads of things. It will be impossible for you to ever get bored with the amount of AUv3 plugins even happening out there that you can use with Loopy Pro. And of course, the hardware, everything is just MIDI controllers. All they do, they don't make sounds themselves, is they just control aspects of Loopy Pro. So when I can program this button to be, obviously it's a drum right now, but it can turn things on and off. So I can change how I use each controller depending on what I want it to be. And of course, you can use different controllers. If I wanted, I could add more controllers if I wanted to, for some reason, if I wanted to start playing piano, I could add a MIDI piano to this and it would be seamless. I wouldn't have to add more than just the MIDI controller that plays the piano. So that's what I mean. You can keep on adding more peripherals to this system and keep on controlling, and it all be tied together with Loopy Pro. And I think that's the power of this software. This is how I travel with all my gear. Everything breaks down into separate different pieces, which is a lot easier to travel with than a bulky pedal board. And that's another reason why. I used to fit a pedal board inside a Pelican Air case, and there wasn't much else I could fit in there along with my violin. So now everything breaks down, my mic stand, everything, all of this gear fits very neatly and tightly into a Pelican Air 1615 case that I've been using for many years. And it's very easy, it's safe, it makes everything easy to carry around. And so appreciative for this Loopy Pro system because it's easy to travel with, and I make sure that that case is exactly 23 kilos, sometimes a little bit above depending on the scale, but it's 23 kilos. It's great. Should you make the switch to Loopy Pro? And I think that's the question you're trying to answer if you're watching this video. I think the first step you want to do is, even if you're used to using your pedal board, I would experiment with just downloading Loopy Pro to your iPhone or your iPad and just try looping with it. It's a touchscreen interface, so you don't need you technically don't need any more outboard gear. And if you do have a home interface, an audio interface that can plug into your iPad with USB-C cable or whatever, then you can plug in your guitar instruments and mess around with how the interface works, how the mixer works. You can also download some AUv3 plugins and try and see how it sounds, maybe through some headphones or whatnot. And so that's a really easy way to get started. And I believe Loopy Pro's only $29 US, so it's very cheap. So in conclusion, for me, Loopy Pro wasn't just a way to replace my pedal board. It actually fundamentally changed how I perform, how my live performance sounds. It sounds much richer and much fuller in the speakers. And I think that's because I have a lot more control. I can EQ each sound I want to display and loop, and volumes. Everything is, I have so much more audio control, and the routing obviously is amazing. So usually when I perform with this setup, I just send a left and a right out into the front of house. Now with my in-ear system also, I don't have to use monitors, or they don't need to be that loud. So I have full control over my whole system. I think a lot of ways it makes it easier for the front of house, depending on how you perform. As a solo artist, I like to have lots of control over how I sound and not rely on the front of house to make sure my vocals or everything is done. I think having that set already is very professional and very fun. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Like and follow, like and subscribe if this video helped you out, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.
Just remember to always think twice. Don't think twice. I told my baby she up at 3 when she looked at me. That photographs of my baby's eyes look like mine. Who thinks on the floor in the ground? She claims I am the one, Justin in the house. Dance on the floor in the round. Come on, people always told me, be careful what you do, and don't go around making young girls start to tear it. My mother always told me, be careful who you love, be careful what you do, when the lie becomes the truth. Hey, Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl who claims that I am the one, but the kid is not my son.